Okay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching us from right now. It's another wonderful edition of the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People Review, the book by Stephen Covey. We've been doing this for the past 3 weeks. So this makes it the fourth week. And in this fourth week, we are reviewing uh, the, the third habit of highly effective people. The third habit of highly effective people. So once again, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of the 7 habits that you need for the year 2024. My name is Sylvester, and I'm your host today. Right here with me backstage, we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Pat, and shortly she'll be joining us. Today is a very special day because we're going to be learning the last public victory, if I would say, the last the last private victory that we all must encounter or win, overcome before we step into the public victory. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to quickly stop the music right now. Please let us know your name, where you're watching us from, as we commence this video. So, welcome. Good evening. Hi, Pat. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, how are you doing? Where are you watching
Um,
us from today, and how is it Port Harcourt?
yes, I'm very well. I'm watching from Port Harcourt. I'm going to be speaking from Port Harcourt. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. You're going to be speaking from Port Harcourt. All right, thank you, for that. So I'm so excited today because today is a very special day, and just before I go ahead with the introduction, I would just like to just intimate those who are watching us now, our viewers, about this on the screen right now. Um, if you see on the screen, we started this program by discussing the part one that talked about paradigms and principles. And immediately after that week, we started the private victory, which is the part two of the book. And that part two has the 3 habits in it. And today is a very special day, like I said, because we get to take the final habit in this private victory category. And that particular habit is putting first things first. And I'm so excited today because the person that will be reviewing this chapter of the book with me is somebody that's a very good friend. She's a publisher. She's the excellent publisher, as she's popularly known, and she she has worked with a lot of authors. I, I don't know if I have to mention, it should be over 50 now. I mean, or published over 50 works. And she has diverse backgrounds, and she is the executive director of Pat Uch Concept. Nwachukwu. She is a writer, editor, publisher, and a productivity enthusiast. And she's the founder of PPCN, a productivity and onboarding and networking virtual community that provides um, a platform for business owners to connect, learn, and become productive. Pat, he says, someone that I know very well to be passionate about promoting readership. She anchors this show, Changing the World with Books. Outside publishing and everything reading, she is deeply involved in community development also, because she partners with a couple of organizations to mentor teenagers, and she carries out outreaches in secondary schools, remand homes, providing them with inspiration through her words and books. So, Pat, when she's not working, she enjoys playing the piano. You need to see her playing the piano. And to learn more about Pat, you can actually reach out to her via Facebook. Yeah, she's on Instagram, Facebook at Patsuch Concepts, I believe, right? Am I correct? All right. So, Pat, thank you for joining us today. You're welcome to this edition today.
Thank you so
Hello.
much. I can hear you.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we're looking forward to a productive, a very insightful deliberation today. So once again, I want to remind those who are just joining. I see some people are coming live and stepping out. So if you are just joining, please do well to let us know where you're watching from, and then we'll feature your comments here and let us know where you're watching from. So very quickly, let's just dive into the the book. So, but before we do that part, I usually start the show with the video. So I don't know if you could watch this video with me, overview on what we're here to discuss today.
Now, if I were to ask you, what are the most important things to you? The most common answers I would get would be either your well-being or your relationships, your family, your spouse, your children. You would never ever say organizing papers or watching TV. But how many of us spend more time organizing papers and watching TV than planning our nutrition and going to the gym or cultivating a healthy family environment? There's a horrible disconnect between what we say and how we actually allocate our time. Habit number 3 is put first things first. Now, if I were to ask you, what are the most important things to you? The most common answers I would get would be either your well.
So that's just a short video to give us an intro into what we are discussing today. And just so you know, Pat, the way we do the review also, we have different bookmarks, areas that will be of concentration also while you guide us. The blue bookmarks are some important parts of the work that we might want viewers and listeners to learn from. The red ones are very important ones, and then there are purple ones that we must have to read aloud. So, but I'm going to let you speak to that video. What do you think about this part of Stephen Covey's work, putting first things first?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to share with your audience. I'm grateful. Once again, my name is Pat Uche, the excellent publisher, and I'm going to be talking about the third habit of highly effective people. The third habit is the principle of personal management. Well, I think this part of the book is something everyone can relate with. You know, he started by talking about the first two habits and talked about the unique deposits, the uniqueness that we have as humans. And then he went on to elaborate a part of it in this third aspect. So it's something everyone can relate with, and it's a very important thing. He pointed out key things as we go into the work, we have to learn better, we understand better, right? But let me just go straight into the review. I have a summary I have written down, so I'm going to be following it so that you can get the key points and the main thing from this review. So it begins with a quote. The quote says that things that matter should never be at the mercy of things which matter less. So things that matter most should never be at the mercy of things that matter less. And that was said by Goethe. You know, every one of us, you have things that matter more to you, and you have things that matter less to you. Every day you wake up, you have things you want to do. You have your set of priorities. But how do you put first thing first? How do you know which is first? And how do you know how to go about that which is first? So that's basically what this habits, the principle of personal management is about. The book is very practical. And there is a question you're going to be answering as you're watching this. The Stephen gave us a first question that we're going to answer. And what is that one thing you could do that if you do on a regular basis will make tremendous impact in your life? So what is that one thing that you know that you can do right now? You're watching this right now. What is that one thing you can do that you know you're not doing, but you know that when you do it, it's going to make a tremendous impact in your life? That's the very first question that it's very important that we ponder over. That's going to set the pace for you to know the first thing to put first. So begin with what you know. If there is something that you can do, irrespective of the stage you are in your life. You're looking to get better, you're looking to earn more money, you're looking to increase in your influence and impact, you're looking to become more productive. There is something that you need to do that you're not doing. So what is that thing? Could it be knowledge? Could it be whatever? But there is something that you need to do, right? Now, Stephen also made reference to habits 1 and 2. The first habit talks about how that you are the creator, you have everything, you have the ability to bring things to be, and you are in charge. The first habit of highly effective people lets you know that you are in charge, you are in control. It talks about your unique human endowments. Every human being will have 4 unique endowments according to Stephen Covey. The first is conscience, the second is imagination, the third is self-awareness, and the fourth is independent self-will. And then the second habit also lays emphasis on your mental creation. That is your ability to see, right? Now, the third habit, which is what we're going to be dwelling on, is the fulfillment of habits 1 and 2. So the first habit says you are a creator. The second habit says you have what it takes. Go ahead and envision, go ahead and see. Now, the third habit says go ahead and fulfill. This is the doing aspect. And that is why, as you do, you have to know what to put first as you go about your effectiveness and as you go about achieving success. So, first, understand the difference between leadership and management. Yes, he made reference to that. It's very important that we understand the difference between leadership and management. Leadership is a high-powered right brain activity, right? There are so many things you do as a leader in leadership, but management is the ability to curate all the activities, the ability to manage, to break down, to analyze, and to apply. So it's not just about an activity of leadership. Management, personal management has to do with analyzing those activities, breaking down those activities, and going ahead to apply those things that you need to do to make a whole difference. So in this part of the book, I had to summarize it like he did into 5 key points that we're going to be looking at with reference to personal management. The first thing is the power of independent will. The second is time management. The third is what it takes to say no. The fourth is becoming a self-manager. The fifth is living it. And the sixth is your emotional bank account ATM. We're going to be taking it one after the other, right? Remember that this habit is the habit that gets you doing, that gets you to take action. Remember that, very important. So the first is independent self-will. In the second habit, Stephen Covey pointed out that we have 4 unique endowments as human beings. I mentioned that a few minutes ago. Now, the emphasis here is on independent will, the power of independent will, right? Yes. Now, it is the ability to act rather than to being acted upon. So your will is your ability to act rather than being acted upon. Remember that we talked about how that you have to apply. not just being a creator, not just envisioning, but you have to see. And then we started with a very important question, that what is that one thing you can do that will make a whole difference in your life? What is that one thing that you can do that will make tremendous difference? So independent will has to do with your ability to act instead of being acted upon. And it
Yeah.
begins with discipline. Stephen Covey defined discipline as a word that is gotten from the term disciple. When you say someone is a disciple, the person is following a pattern, is following a process, is following maybe a propaganda, is following a movement, is following something, right? So discipline is a word gotten from the term disciple, and it basically means that you are an effective manager of yourself. Remember that this principle is personal management. So the discipline in this case has to do with being able to manage yourself, right? And what is that management? I talked about it earlier. Being able to break down, analyze, and apply the activities of leadership. So discipline is something that comes from within. It's an activity that comes from within, and it is the first thing that will help you to be able to put first thing first, right? So discipline, how discipline? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
you wanted to say
I said
something?
you're right. Yeah, if I
Oh,
could just refer to, there's this particular part where, I
okay,
don't know, let me make that bigger. Just in line with what you said, there's this part where
okay.
he talks about one of his favorite essays. You can see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes, his favorite essay that was written by Gray. He said this person spent his whole life searching for the one denominator that all successful people share.
Yeah, wow.
And what that person realized, he said, the successful person has the habit of doing the things
Doing things,
failures don't like to
failures
do.
don't always to
That's
do.
what he actually observed. Having compared between those who are actually doing things and those who do not do things, right? What he noticed that separates this set of people is the people who take what they put first. He said that's what's most important. And if you come up further here, you see that if you're an effective manager of yourself, this discipline you are talking about comes from within, and it is a function of the independent will that we are talking about. So, in essence, effective management is putting first things first, which is this chapter we are talking about. While leadership decides what those first things are, then management is what actually brings those first things first. Pardon me, I needed to emphasize this point because at the end of the day, we are going to share these bookmark PDF with our online community.
Okay. Okay, so
Please
yeah,
go ahead,
that's it.
please.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much. Acting, discipline, you have to act. It is the action part. This is the part where you get to put
Yeah.
to work the things that you know that you're going to do that will make a whole difference. So, discipline is from inside, you get to act, right? So, do something that you don't want to or feel like doing. Discipline is not always very comfortable, but like Stephen says, and the man who was searching for that common denominator, do that thing that you don't want to do. You don't feel like doing it. It's not something that maybe it's very comfortable. So you don't feel like doing it, right? But you have to do it because it is something you have to do. It is that first thing that is first that you have to do. So you have to act with integrity. I think in the course of the chapter, we're going to be looking at integrity, right? But you have to act with integrity and do it because you have to do it, even when it is not convenient. So that's the first part. I'm going to be going to the second part, which is time management.
Yeah.
Now, there are so many definitions, so many examples, so many courses and trainings on time management. But let's look at it Stephen's way because we are reviewing his book, right? Stephen puts it like this: the ability to organize and execute around priorities. So your ability to organize and execute around your priorities is your ability to manage your time. That's it, according to Stephen, right? It is a technique. So you have to know what you're doing, like leadership, and then you're managing, and then you're bringing your discipline. So you have to know what you're doing, your activities. You get to organize and you execute around your priorities, the things that come first. That is what helps you to be able to manage your time. And it talks about the use of calendar, appointment books, having your schedule, and so many things. But importantly, you have to know what is the difference between what is urgent and
Mm,
what is important.
exactly.
So there
And
are four
it's
generations.
reflected yeah, exactly.
Yes,
In this
four
quadrant.
generations. Yes, exactly. So four generations of time management. The first could be characterized by notes and checklists. You know what notes are, you know what checklists are. The second generation could be characterized by calendars and appointment books. The third generation reflects the current time management field, and the emerging fourth generation recognizes that time management is really a misnomer. The
It's
challenge
normal,
is not to
exactly.
manage time, but to manage ourselves.
For
So the
ourselves.
fourth generation of time management is not to manage time, but to manage ourselves. So that is so in line with the habits that we're talking about today, personal management, right?
Mm,
So the fourth generation, that's what we're going to basically be dwelling on, which is the ability to manage ourselves instead of trying so hard to manage the time, or
to
the
manage
ability to
time.
manage ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the time management matrix. You can slide to the next so that I will just match it with what I already have here.
Okay. Okay. Maybe you should continue, and then I'll flow with you, because
Okay.
this part of the book, for some people, this is one very technical part of the book,
Okay.
but because Stephen was talking about quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, and if I could just speak briefly to these quadrants. If you see quadrant 2 here, quadrant 2, the activities that characterize that quadrant is, or if you just look at the heading, you see that it says there are two factors that define an activity. So all the activities here, the two factors that define whatever anybody has to do in life is either they are urgent or they are um,
Important.
important. Exactly. So which is the first one up here, and then the other one on that. So you have the ones that are not so important, and then you have the ones that are not so urgent. But if we follow this book very carefully, you find out that many a times, most of us, we focus on this first quadrant. That is those things that are bothering us, our problems, pressing problems, deadlines that we have to deliver a project. We keep focusing on these things, and then sometimes we find out that other people, they just focus on their work, replying emails, getting distracted, and all that. But if we look at ourselves very well, which is that question you asked at the first part of the book, I don't know if I can take you there. Pardon me, please. It's very important to take those who will be watching this later. Um, sorry. Okay. Uh, there's this question. Okay. If you take a look at what you want to achieve, you find out that it falls in this not so urgent. Those questions we asked ourselves at the beginning of this chapter, it falls under the not so urgent, these things you really want to become. But if we examine our lives, you find out that we are actually not doing these things. Instead, we are focusing on deadlines. We are focusing on things that we feel like are very urgent. Meanwhile, they are not really, really urgent and important. So that is why Stephen Covey spends a lot of time explaining the four different quadrants and how we must we must take them really, really seriously. But please pardon me, there's a part we must read before we
Okay.
continue. We must read aloud. Okay, and I would it would be nice to have you be the one to read for me. This is the one in purple here. So if you could please just read this illustration here, please.
Okay. If you were to phone someone, there aren't many people who would say, I'll get to you in 15 minutes, just hold. But those same people would probably let you wait in an office for at least that long while they completed a telephone conversation with someone else. Urgent matters are usually visible. They press on
Right.
us, they insist on action. They are often popular with others. They are usually right in front of us, and often they are pleasant, easy, fun to do, but so often they are unimportant. Importance, on the other hand, has to do with results. If something is important, it contributes to your mission, your values, your high priority goals. We react to urgent matters. Important matters that are not urgent require more initiative, more proactivity. We must act to seize opportunity to make things happen. If we don't practice habits too, if we don't have a clear idea of what is important, of the results we desire in our lives, we are easily diverted into responding to the urgent. Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you very much. Please proceed, Pat. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. It was nice getting to read the part of the book. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, that's like the concluding aspect of this point, time management, right? So
Yeah,
have a list of what is urgent and what is important. Now we've explained, the book has explained that some of the things that we tend to give attention to are not actually urgent, and some of them that we think are important, they are not important. Some are urgent. So there's a like a misplacement of some of these things. That's why it's
priority.
important to understand them so that you will be able to put first things first. So important tasks
Yes.
or matters do not require as much proactivity as urgent matters. So you're not responding to them immediately, right? Also, some urgent things are not important, but you are responsible for knowing what is important and what is urgent. So it is your responsibility by understanding your time, by understanding what you want to do. You know, we have unique goals, we have unique, should I say, activities. So it is your responsibility to understand what is urgent and what is important in line with what we have read out in this quadrant. So that takes us to the next subheading of this title. Okay, so let's talk about, yeah, the approach. Do you want us to talk about this aspect?
Yes, very, very. This is really important. That's the issue, the limitations of. We have a generation that's used to do list, and you know me. I've complained about having to um, take up tasks and complete some tasks and deadlines most times. And you, as someone I know, you make use of organizing tools also. But this book gives a different approach to organizing yourself, or not even time right now. So, and it recommends putting yourself in a role, and that's the first. You see this first option here. A long-term organizing requires you to first of all have a mission statement, which is a requirement for habit 2. Habit 2 requires you to, by now, have crafted a personal mission statement or constitution. So once you have done that, you should see yourself in roles. So instead of that usual to-do list that we write or setting calendar dates and all that, what it's advising us to do is what I noticed. I've started doing this for about 2 years now. I look at the different roles that I play. For instance, I am the digital librarian. I look at myself, okay, the digital librarian, this is a unique role on its own. I look at myself as another person. I'm a family person. I look at myself as husband and a husband and father. Okay. So each of these roles have their specific goals. So instead of just having a to-do list where you just write, I want to do this one today, I want to do this today, I want to do this today, what Stephen Covey is recommending is outline the roles that aligns with your purpose in life, which is your mission statement, and then set the goals. If you see the right hand side of this, you will see those big arrows are the different roles that you may be playing in life, and then the other boxes in front of those arrows are the goals. The goals, the things you should do to realize that role you are playing, so that that role will not be deficient, will not be seen as not fulfilling the role. You will not be, if you are a spouse or a parent, you will not be failing as a parent. You have to clearly specify that goal that you are playing. So I don't know if you understand. That's just what this slide actually explain, Pat. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Okay,
over to
so
you now. I believe I don't know if we could go into delegation, I guess.
yes, so before then, we'll just talk about what it takes to say no. Just there's a
Oh yeah.
story. Yes, there's a
Yes.
story there that I'd like to share. For every yes, there is a no to something else.
Mm.
For you watching this right now, you had to say yes to this because it's important, but then there's something you should be doing, and you said no to that thing and said yes to this one. So right, Stephen shared a story of how his wife was called to chairman a committee at some point in her life. She was working on some projects
Hello,
at the
hello.
time.
Sorry, Pat.
Yes, please.
Sorry for interrupting you again. You see how coincidentally the story is marked purple here. So it would be nice if you tell us with your beautiful voice, you read the story out loud to us again, please. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to be sharing the story live from Stephen's book with my voice Stephen's story. Okay, so he says some time ago, my wife, that's Stephen's wife, was invited to serve as chairman of a committee in a community endeavor. She had a number of truly important things she was trying to work on, and she really didn't want to do it, but she felt pressured into it and finally agreed. Then she called one of her dear friends to ask if she would serve on her committee. Her friend listened for a long time and then said, Sandra, that sounds like a wonderful project, a really worthy undertaking. I appreciate so much you're inviting me to be a part of it. I feel honored by it. For a number of reasons, I won't be participating myself, but I want you to know how much I appreciate your invitation. Stephen says Sandra was ready for anything but a pleasant no. She turned to me and sighed. I wish I'd said that. I don't mean to
So
imply
that's
that you shouldn't be involved in significant service projects. Those things are important. But you have to decide what your highest priorities are and have the courage, pleasantly smiling, non-apologetically, to say no to other things. And the way you do
wow.
that is by having a bigger yes burning inside. That's so remarkable. So remarkable.
Wow.
It's very important in putting first things first. It is not everything you say yes to. So you have to know your highest priority, right? And have the courage to say no to certain things. But it begins with having, like Stephen said, a big yes burning on your inside. If there's no big yes burning on your inside, you just be dishing out your no to everything, your yes to everybody. But what
Your
is the big
yes to
yes
everybody.
coming out from the inside? You have to be selective and then say no to certain things, right? So when you understand the clear difference between what is important and what is urgent, you will have the sufficient independence to say no to what is unimportant. Very, very good. Learn to manage your life effectively. It is not a must. Okay, sorry, it is a must habit if you will be successful, right? It will help you to focus more, it will help you balance, right? And it will help you to do the things that you should be doing at a particular time. every time in your life, right? Because the whole idea is to be effectively successful, to be able to manage yourself. So you have to know what is important and what to say yes to and what to say no to. So that takes us to the fourth aspect of these habits. So I think this is my favorite part of the book. I really enjoyed this part. So I know you're going to enjoy it. So it's becoming a self-manager. I love this. I love this. So you already made reference to some of the aspects of this. So I'm not going to go into them again. Talking about
Okay.
roles. Yes. What roles do
Okay.
you play?
Okay.
You are
Yeah.
a father, you're a husband, you're a wife like me. I'm a wife, I'm a publisher, a new wife for that matter. So identify your
I'm telling
roles.
you,
You
author,
so
publisher, managing a lot of.
exactly, exactly. So becoming a self-manager has to do first with identifying your roles. What are the roles you play in life? Are you a student? Are you an executive assistant? Are you a writer? Are you a mother? Are you a father? So identify your roles. And you have your goals in the important roles. The roles that you've listed out, have your goals in those roles. So instead of, like you mentioned earlier, just having a to-do list of what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to do next week, have your goals in those roles that are pointed out, right? And then you go on to daily adapting, daily planning. Take a moment each morning to review your schedule in line with your value-based decisions. Okay, so that's it. That's this chapter. Like he has already laid emphasis on it, and there's no need for further emphasis because he has already spelled it out. So daily adapting. Once you identify your roles, you have your goals in those roles, and you daily adapt every morning. Review what you need to do in line with your value-based decision. So that's it. Takes us to the fifth aspect, which is living it, right? Living it. So we began by talking about the first and the second habit. We're also going to make reference to them again in this part. The first habit says you are a programmer. The second habit says write the program. And then
Exactly.
the third habit says
Yeah.
run the program, leave the program. So
Yeah.
this is the part where
Yeah.
you get to run the program that you have written down and leave the
Exactly.
program. You see, discipline is coming in here again. Discipline and integrity. It's
Mm.
coming up again because it's very important. Okay, so let me read from this book. It says, if habit one says you are the programmer, and habit two says write the program, then habit three says
Write the
run the
program.
program,
Uh,
leave the
on the
program.
program.
Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So, and living it is primarily a function of our independent will, our self-discipline, our integrity and commitment. You see, as carefully as you organize your week, there will be times when the principle oriented person you used to be. Sorry, just take it up a bit so that I can see it more clearly. I want to read word for
Okay.
word.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, great. So as
Like
carefully
this.
as you yes, it's better. Thank you so much. As carefully as you organize the week, there will be times when, as a principle centered person, you will need to subordinate your schedule to a higher value because you are
Mm.
principle centered. You can do that with an inner sense of peace. You see, it's amazing how
Exactly.
every point is
Mm.
intertwined. One is bringing us to the other,
Telling you.
one is taking us back,
I'm
to
telling
the
you.
other. It's very important, having your
Yeah. And
values,
surprisingly,
having your
this is
values.
linking with habit two. Actually, it's also linking with
Exactly.
habit two because habit two deals with that principle centeredness. So it is
Yeah.
when once you are principle centered, no matter the decision you go for, whatever you put first, even everything is a priority. There's this inner peace you have in your mind that makes you satisfied with that decision you've gone for.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So that's it. And Stephen, we're going to be running now. And Stephen also talks about making room for extra because with people, you can achieve effectiveness but with things you can achieve efficiency. So it's very important that as you go about putting first things first, don't be rigid, don't be clammed up that it must be like this. Remember that, people, you can't really control people. It is only yourself that you can manage. You can manage the activities around yourself, but you can't really do that of other people. So when you're dealing with people, you think about effectiveness. But when you're dealing with things or system, you think about efficiency. For example, when you're downloading something, you know that when you click download, you are going to actually download that stuff. You know because there is already a command. So you focus on
Yeah.
efficiency when you're dealing with things, and then you focus on effectiveness when you're dealing with people. Avoid rigidity. This is more effective when you understand your life principles, your values, and your daily decisions. Avoid
Mm.
rigidity. And then we have to go to delegation. Everything can be accomplished via delegation. Everything. There is nothing you cannot delegate. But then what are you delegating? You are either delegating to time or you're delegating to people. So in putting first things first, as a highly successful person, you have to learn to delegate to time
Mm.
or to people. So effectively delegating to others is the single most powerful high leverage activity there is, according to Stephen. And while I was reading through this part, I actually saw reasons with this. Yes, when you're able to effectively delegate, it is a very powerful, high leverage activity there is. And Stephen talked about two types of delegation. Now you have
Yeah.
the first, which is okay, the golfer delegation. Exactly. And the second, which is the stewardship delegation. So the golfer delegation says, go for this, do that, and tell me when you're done,
Tell me when
right?
it's done.
But
Exactly.
and the stewardship says, give me the results. I'm not concerned about your method.
Mm.
Just give me the results. So there you have to understand, because it is very important you understand this. The first type of delegation says, do this, do that, go for this, go for that, and tell me when it is done. But the second one focuses on results instead of methods. That's the stewardship delegation. Focuses on results instead of methods. It gives people a choice of method and makes them responsible for the results. Let me read this one. It says stewardship delegation involves clear upfront mutual understanding and commitment regarding expectation in 5 areas. We just talk about the desired results, the guidelines, and so on and so forth. Okay, we're not going to be
Exactly.
dwelling there. Yes, we're not going to be dwelling there. So it's very important as you
But
put first.
they are very important too, Sha. Yeah.
Yes, they are
Because
very
while
important.
you are delegating and not caring about the method, and it's important. That's one thing that makes people free. And this is how I used to tackle with dedication and do everything myself because I really want these people working with me. I just felt that okay, they can't give me the result the way I want it. So sometimes, for some tasks, I find myself doing it myself because I wasn't able to apply these 5 areas. Because number one, you have to let them know clearly what is the desired result, the guidelines, the resources. You give them resources
Please.
that they should use, the consequences, what could go wrong if it doesn't happen in a particular way. You understand? Then you leave the rest to them. That's why I highlighted the red one that says keep the responsibility for results with them to do whatever is necessary within the guidelines. So it's really important for managers who are delegating to keep these 5 points very important when delegating a task. Thank you so much. I see that Kelino is here watching us online. I think that's the first person dropping a comment. Thank you. I think that's also Sheyi. Thank you for joining us, and we're glad you joined. So please, I think we are about 2 minutes behind schedule already. Closure, yeah.
Okay. So as we round up, the last part is the emotional bank account ATM. You're watching me right now. You have a bank account. You know how it works, how deposits work and withdrawals work, right? When you make emotional deposits, you build a reserve. For example, when you make a emotional deposit of courtesy, of kindness, honesty, you're building a reserve. But if you have the habit of disrespect, ignoring people, the emotional account is withdrawn. So Stephen pointed out some major deposits that we ought to make in our emotional bank account. The first is attending to little things, little acts of kindness, having courtesy, right? If you're effective people, successful people, they pay attention to little things, they attend to little things. Something as little as remembering someone's birthday, maybe your client's birthday, is it will go a long way, sending them warm wishes and all. And then keeping commitments, keep commitments, don't just say them and don't do them, keep commitments, clarifying expectations, be clear. If you're working with people, be clear about what they should expect in your interactions, in your dealings, be clear. And then show personal integrity. That is when your words conform with your reality. There's so much talk out there, but when your words conform with the reality, that is actually the true integrity. Now, Stephen made there's a scenario he created. I'd just like to quickly point that out. He says two people who are friends, they've been talking about the boss behind his back. Now, what happens when they have issues? Is this other person going to go about talking, telling everyone that this is what this is what we're talking about and all? So it's very important, very important. And then number 5, apologizing sincerely when you make a withdrawal. It's not just to say sorry, oh yeah, sorry now. No, there is
Exactly.
sincere apology. And he used some phrases, to cite an instance. I'm sorry, I disrespected you. So what are you saying sorry for? Be really sincerely
Exactly.
sorry. Mhm. So it says it takes a great deal of character strength to apologize quickly out of your heart. And finally, the laws of love and life. So make deposit of unconditional love. It's not every time someone has to do something to merit your love per se, but just make deposits of unconditional love. And that's it. We're going to be calling it here. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
I honestly, seriously, it's really good to have book reviews. One of the beautiful thing about it is you get to learn from a different perspective. Like, yes, you're learning from the eyes or words from the author, but then in a review like this, you get to hear different perspective, different insights, and I like how your summary went. And I believe those who may be watching this video or those who have seen it live, who did not join us to the end right now, and those who will be watching this as a replay either tomorrow or in the nearest future, whenever it will be. Thank you for joining us, and we're glad that you are in this video. So I want to say congratulations for completing this third habit of highly effective people. It's a very big congratulation because this has to do with the private victory, that private battle that you must overcome. All right, you need to overcome that. First one says be proactive. So and then here we are now about putting first things first. So and the guest we've had here today, the person of Pat Uche, she's an author of a new book. I think was it not when did you publish that book? Get It Done.
October. October.
Yeah, that's just like less than 5 months ago. She published a book titled Get It Done. And that Get It Done obviously reflects many of the things that we've reviewed in this chapter. And that was why I particularly said, okay, we definitely need to have an expert in this area to review this book with us. So, Pat, I really appreciate the time you've committed to this. And God bless you for sharing your knowledge with many of us here. Thank you so much for everything you do. So while we round up, I think there are some application suggestions that Stephen Covey usually recommends at the end of each chapter. So what I'm going to be doing for those who are unable to watch this video, because this video we've exceeded our limit of 45 minutes. So we're going to make a summary on my blog. So, and you can actually visit that summary on my blog, and you know exactly how to apply these suggestions. So once again, I want to say if you're live, thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us, and do have a great night. See you next week, and please do well to share this video with others. Subscribe to this channel to learn more, and good night.